The Galactic Assembly Hall buzzed with the hum of 1,000 different voices, languages overlapping like a chaotic symphony. Alien delegates with shimmering exoskeletons, bioluminescent tentacles, and polished chrome-like plating sat in elevated tiers, each representing one of the advanced species that governed the galaxy. Their technologies had reshaped worlds, their empires spanned countless star systems, and their egos reflected their dominance. At the center of it all stood a tall, stern figure, Ambassador Hayes of Earth. His plain navy suit was an odd contrast to the elaborate robes and gleaming armor worn by his alien counterparts. He listened quietly as a Zoran representative, towering with leathery skin and gleaming red eyes, spoke with contempt dripping from every syllable. Earth, the Zoran scoffed, his voice amplified throughout the chamber, a backwater world still clinging to fossil fuels and primitive nuclear weapons. What arrogance to believe such a place deserves a seat among us. Scattered laughter rippled through the assembly. Other species chimed in, ridiculing Earth's technological limitations. They barely have interstellar travel, said a shimmering, multi-eyed being. A species whose greatest achievement is sending metal cans to neighboring planets, mocked another delegate. Hayes stood still, his expression unreadable. His silence only seemed to embolden the derision. The Zoran leaned forward, his voice low but dangerous. Earth is insignificant. Fragile. Nothing more than an anthill waiting to be crushed under the weight of true galactic power. The assembly erupted into applause and smug satisfaction. But Hayes remained unshaken. His hands clasped behind his back, he surveyed the room, letting the moment stretch. When the noise died down, he finally spoke, his tone calm yet firm. "We may be new here," Hayes said, his voice carrying effortlessly through the vast chamber, "but I would advise against underestimating humanity." The room fell into an uneasy silence. Some scoffed, others regarded Hayes with mild curiosity. The ambassador continued, "History has shown that simplicity is not weakness. It's adaptability, resilience. And when cornered, humanity does not break. It fights." Murmurs rippled through the room, but Hayes offered no further explanation. He simply turned and returned to his seat, leaving the assembly to process his words. The Zoran delegate snorted, dismissing the warning as empty bravado. "We shall see," he muttered under his breath, certain of Earth's impending humiliation. As the assembly moved on to other matters, Ambassador Hayes sat quietly, his expression unchanged. He knew what was coming. Earth's simplicity was a mask, and when the mask fell, the galaxy would learn the true nature of humanity's fury. The Zoran fleet drifted through the dark void of space, its polished warships gleaming under distant starlight. Each vessel was a masterpiece of engineering, bristling with plasma cannons, energy shields, and advanced AI combat systems. The fleet commander, a grim-faced veteran named Vorath, lounged in his command chair with practiced ease. "Scanners confirm Earth remains unfortified," reported a junior officer, his eyes flickering over holographic displays. "No orbital defense platforms. No detectable shield network. Barely worth deploying the full fleet." Vorath smirked. "Typical primitives. They probably still believe courage can win wars." Laughter rippled through the bridge crew. Earth's technology was a joke to the Zoran, who had long mastered faster-than-light travel and energy manipulation. Their approach to war was calculated and precise, waged with overwhelming force and cold efficiency. But not everyone shared their confidence. One junior officer hesitated, his voice uncertain. "Sir, there are anomalies in Earth's past conflicts. Their adaptability is noteworthy." Vorath's expression hardened. "Adaptability? Against us?" He barked a short, dismissive laugh. "Their history is one of chaos and infighting. Nothing more." The officer persisted. "Respectfully, sir, they faced existential threats before and emerged stronger. They lack refinement but compensate with innovation under pressure." Vorath waved a hand dismissively. "We'll crush them before they even know what hit them. No more talk of human ingenuity." Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity prepared in ways the Zoran could never anticipate. What appeared as chaos on the surface was a hive of coordinated effort beneath the surface. Old factories hummed back to life, producing weapons designed for maximum adaptability rather than reliance on singular technological advantages. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to retrofit rudimentary systems with advanced AI protocols, making up for their technological gap with sheer ingenuity. Earth's military forces, seasoned from centuries of unconventional warfare, trained relentlessly. Their tactics were unpredictable, blending traditional strategies with guerrilla ingenuity. Simple tools became deadly when wielded by those who knew how to turn limitations into strengths. Diplomatic channels remained deceptively quiet. The world governments, now unified under a single coalition for planetary defense, kept their cards close to their chest. They knew the Zoran would come, driven by arrogance and a lust for domination. Humanity's leaders had no illusions about their technological inferiority. They understood the odds but embraced them. It was a dance they had perfected over millennia, facing overwhelming forces with creativity, determination, and an unyielding will to survive. As the Zoran fleet prepared for its final approach, Vorath remained confident. To him, Earth was a footnote in galactic history, a planet that would be remembered only as a failed experiment. But he was wrong. What the Zoran saw as simplicity was a carefully honed blade hidden beneath centuries of conflict and innovation. Humanity had never been simple, they had simply never needed to reveal their full potential. Not until now. The Zoran fleet arrived in Earth's orbit, its massive ships surrounding the planet like an impenetrable wall of power. Vorath's voice crackled through the communication system, confident and authoritative. Earth, surrender now. This will be your only chance to avoid annihilation. There was no immediate response. The silence was unnerving, almost mocking. Vorath's patience wore thin. He had seen this before, a planet's futile resistance before being crushed under the weight of superior force. Prepare to commence planetary bombardment, he ordered, his voice cold. But just as the command was given, an unexpected disturbance rippled through the fleet's communications. Signals scrambled, codes corrupted. Systems that had functioned flawlessly only moments before were now glitching, flickering on and off like dying stars. Vorath's eyes widened. What the hell is happening? The junior officer who had once questioned Earth's adaptability now scrambled to make sense of the data. Sir, it's coming from Earth. It's some sort of jamming signal. It's overwhelming our systems. Vorath's initial disbelief shifted to growing concern. Impossible. They're not capable of. Before he could finish, alarms blared throughout the fleet. The first wave of Zoran warships, the ones in the lead, began to experience massive power failures. Plasma cannons misfired, and the protective shields flickered and collapsed. Each Zoran ship, advanced beyond anything humanity could have imagined, was now vulnerable. Then, a streak of light shot across the sky, breaking through the darkness like a fiery comet. Earth's ancient but reliable missiles, retrofitted with improvised AI guidance systems, tore through the atmosphere with pinpoint accuracy. The first impact was brutal, one of the Zoran warships exploded in a burst of flame. The second, then the third, followed in rapid succession, leaving the Zoran commanders scrambling to regain control. How are they doing this? Vorath demanded, disbelief creeping into his voice. The Earth's counterattack was relentless. A series of human-designed EMP weapons, created from salvage technology and years of military ingenuity, unleashed a wave of electromagnetic pulses across the fleet. Zoran ships, despite their superior design, were vulnerable to such primitive tactics. The power flickered and sputtered as the fleet's communication and navigation systems were taken offline one by one. Vorath snarled, his face twisted in frustration. This isn't possible. How are they? His words were cut off by another explosion, this time a direct hit on the flagship. The vessel lurched, its hull rupturing as human-made drones swarmed in, swarming around the damaged ship like angry wasps. These drones, crafted from scraps of Earth's industrial technology, were now more dangerous than the Zoran had ever anticipated. They're using our own technology against us, an officer whispered in awe. Vorath's anger boiled over. No. This isn't how it's supposed to be. As the Zoran fleet descended into chaos, Earth's forces, humanity's soldiers, pilots, and engineers, continued their fight with ferocity unmatched by any of the galactic empires that surrounded them. They fought not for conquest, but for survival. Every action was calculated, driven by the need to adapt, to use what little they had to push back the seemingly unstoppable force. It wasn't just a fight, it was a reckoning. The galaxy was watching, and the Zoran were realizing too late that Earth was not a planet to be dismissed or crushed. It was a planet with a pulse, a heartbeat that refused to die, no matter how advanced its enemies might be. And in that moment, humanity's fury had only just begun. The battle raged for hours, but as the Zoran fleet continued to falter, it became clear that victory was slipping through their fingers. The once proud warships, with all their sophisticated weaponry, were now little more than floating debris. Zoran officers scrambled to regain control, but Earth's relentless onslaught, driven by ingenuity and ruthless precision, was unyielding. The last few Zoran ships attempted a retreat, but it was too late. Their communications were down, their fleets scattered, and their morale shattered. Vorith stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as his forces were decimated. His face was pale, his eyes wide in disbelief. "This is impossible," he muttered. "How can they?" His words were cut short by a voice booming across the frequency. It was calm, collected, and unmistakably human. "Zoran fleet, this is Ambassador Hayes. Cease your assault, or face complete annihilation." There was a pause. Vorith clenched his fists, his rage building. "You think you can threaten us?" he snapped, his voice shaking with fury. "We are the Zoran. You are nothing." Hayes's response was measured. "You were warned. Now, you are learning what happens when you underestimate humanity. The choice is yours. Surrender, or continue to face your destruction." A tense silence followed, the weight of Hayes's words hanging heavy in the air. The Zoran were reeling, forced to confront the unimaginable reality that a planet they had deemed insignificant was now dictating the terms of their survival. Slowly, Vorith's hand hovered over the command panel, his hesitation palpable. The moment stretched on, the sounds of the dying fleet echoing through the void. And then, with a sharp intake of breath, Vorith finally gave the order. "Retreat. We are done here." The remaining Zoran ships turned, limping away from Earth's orbit, leaving behind only destruction and shame. Humanity had won not through overwhelming force, but through something far more powerful: the will to survive, to adapt, and to fight when cornered. The Zoran, for all their technological might, had learned the hard way that they had underestimated the one thing they couldn't calculate: the ferocity of the human spirit. On Earth, news of the victory spread like wildfire. Across the globe, citizens celebrated, but there was no arrogance in their triumph. They had proven their worth, not just as a species, but as a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. The victory was not just military, it was a declaration. Humanity was not to be ignored. They would stand among the stars as equals, no longer the underdog, but a force of nature. The Galactic Assembly, once dismissive, now turned its gaze upon Earth with newfound respect. No longer would the species be mocked for their simplicity. Humanity had demonstrated that the true measure of strength did not lie in technology alone, but in the heart, the mind, and the unbreakable resolve of a species that had, time and again, shown its ability to rise from the ashes. Ambassador Hayes stood once more before the assembly, a calm but unwavering presence. "We did not ask for this war," he said, his voice echoing across the chamber. "But we will not bow before any force that seeks to impose its will upon us. Earth stands strong, and we stand ready not to conquer, but to defend our right to exist, to thrive, and to be equal among the stars." The assembly was silent, no longer mocking, no longer dismissing. Hayes's words resonated with the quiet power of truth. And for the first time in galactic history, humanity had earned the respect of those who once saw them as nothing more than a primitive, fragile species. The galaxy had learned a lesson. Never again would they forget the strength that lay beneath Earth's simplicity.